Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 15th of April. I'm Derek Clark. I'm joined this morning by a full squad as we look back on Rangers' amazing Europa League win last night against Braga. Joshua Barry was at Ibrox for us. How are we doing, Joshua? Have you managed to peel yourself off the ceiling?
Yeah, not slept much, I'm sure, like everyone, but quite happy to sacrifice that, given the result and the performance last night. Just a fantastic night, and so much to unpack, really.
Yeah, Johnny McFarlane also joined us. How are we doing, Johnny? Looking forward to picking the bones out of this.
Yeah, what a night, guys. Absolutely incredible. Like you both, I didn't get an awful lot of sleep. I think I must have got about 4.5 hours. But that's what happens when you watch a football match like that. It really was pulsating. It was stressful. It was a hard watch at times. It was through the cracks of the finger stuff after that Braga goal went in. But they got there in the end. And I have to say, we'll get into the stats of it. I was looking at some of the stats this morning. They didn't half deserve it, did they?
Yeah, it was quite incredible. Yeah, my wife said she couldn't believe the time I came to bed. It must have been just shy of 2 a.m. Such was the emotion of the game, but we wouldn't have it any other way. Before we look at that game last night, if you've just joined us, folks, if you're watching us on YouTube, thousands of you are, just hit the subscribe button. It means you'll never miss a video when we go live. And as you can see in the ticker below and a little overlay, we've got a fantastic deal on at the Rangers Review site just now, just £1 for 2 months worth of content. Not only that, you get entered into a prize draw for a tour of Ibrox by a club legend, a tour of Ibrox for 4 as well. So you can take family and friends. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. Okay, let's look back at last night's win. Josh, as I mentioned, you were there for us. Rangers have amazingly progressed to the semi-finals of the Europa League. It's quite incredible. They came back from a 1-0 deficit last week. Blistering start. James Tavernier set the tone with a fantastic strike, you'd have to say, from the cutest of angles. Borna Barisic with one of a number of exquisite deliveries last night. Kemar Roof thought he fired Rangers 2-0 up, but was ruled out for VAR, the harshest of handballs I've ever seen in my life. But Rangers carried on. They got that goal just before the break, a penalty kick. The Braga defender gets sent off. It was quite rightfully for hauling down Kemar Roof, who was through on goal. And Tavernier was at the calmest man inside Ibrox, slotting it away. But then there was wouldn't be a European tie without some nervy moments. And Braga, of course, got that headed goal late on. The first real chance of the game, you'd have to say. Rangers failed to pick up the man. And the boy nods at home. Carmel thinking, well, we're going into extra time. But Rangers found another gear. And Kemar Roof finally getting his goal. He had another one flagged off for offside. It was a tremendous finish. But this one, great move. Kamara started it into Aribo. His ball across goal, and he tapped it into an empty net. Scott Arfield really should have, and we'll talk about Arfield, really should have put the tie beyond any doubt. So it was slightly nervy. Braga, of course, had a second man sent off in extra time for dissent. He just lost the head. What was it like sitting there, Joshua, at Ibrox? You've been to a number of these European nights now. Where does that rank for you?
Well, hi. It was. I think the start was perfect. In many ways, I feel almost scoring the second goal at that point might have been too early. It might have invited Rangers to sit back a little bit. In some ways, and as Johnny says, the stats. I think that the XG is excess of 6 in Rangers' favour. I think StatsBomb ranked Rangers winning that game 100 times out of 100. Not that they measure the feeling in the ground within that number, because certainly when the game went to 2-1, it didn't feel like that. But I think what's interesting, Derek, is aside from all the emotion and aside from what I think was really vital, was that Rangers recovered in game, because they've really not done that regularly, regardless of 10 men going back all the way to Malmo at the start of this European journey. They managed to do that. They didn't just fling crosses into the box. They showed composure. Joe Aribo, who had the highest XG chain and just was basically excellent in getting the ball forward into dangerous areas, I thought showed excellent movement and composure to get the ball across the box and delivered in a big moment. Also got the assist for the first goal as well. And as I say, Tavernier, when he picks the ball up in that right wing area, before Kemar Roof's goal, and Roof's movement was excellent. He doesn't just fling the ball into the box. He's composed to try and progress the ball. And I think that was the difference. Rangers needed a couple of players to kind of step up and create something at that point and change the atmosphere, which they did. I think what's also interesting, and I asked the manager about this, is how they did that. And he obviously tweaked the system as he always seems to do. Getting James Tavernier in the last line, pushing Ryan Jack into the right back position. And what he said when I asked him about his game plan was that Braga leave so much space, I think was his quote, and Rangers wanted to attack that. And you've seen that for both the goals in the first half, particularly the second, when Aaron Ramsey's run completely takes the attention of the defender. The defence is just overloaded, which leads to obviously the Braga red card. And Rangers managed to get all these runners over the top, pin the Braga back on either side, and gamble effectively, and it worked to great effect. And you also had Borna Barisic arriving as the unmarked sixth part of that contingent to really cause the first goal and cause the overruled goal by VAR, as you say. So I think the manager got his tactics spot on, and it would have been such a shame if you had to come and talk about this game and Rangers hadn't got the result and went through, because there would have been no justification apart from mentality, I think. And I think it's significant that Rangers have managed to recover in-game during a game of that magnitude, because they've struggled with that even in Europe. And so important ahead of Sunday as well. So fantastic night. And once again, I think the manager has to take a lot of credit for the way that he adapted to the opponent to get Rangers through a big game.
Yeah, I like this comment from Rory Morrison, 2 a.m. is early, man. Trying to get back to Inverness after the game. Didn't get to sleep till nearly 4 a.m. and kids woke me up at 7. But well worth it indeed. Johnny, you were confident ahead of this game, surprisingly so.
I did say 3-1, Derek, and I did say Borna Barisic.
You did say 3-1. You did say 3-1. Mystic Meg down there. But even still, Johnny, I mean, that performance must have blew you away. We know domestically they've had their troubles and complacency is set in, but in Europe, and last night was some of the best football I think I've seen Rangers play in my lifetime at some points.
The first half was the best I think I've ever seen Rangers play in my lifetime. It's up there with, as a 45 minutes, it's got to be up there with games like Sturm Graz under Dick Advocat, the 5-0 win in the Champions League, which was just an incredible performance. The 4-1 win over PSV under Advocat, the defeat of Parma. In terms of just the quality of performance, the dominance of performance against a good team, it was right up there with that Sturm Graz game and the PSV game. It was terrific. They played with real panache. They played with real style and quality. The deliveries were excellent. They looked dangerous all the way through the game. Every time they went forward, they looked like they were going to score. And they were in total control of Braga. Braga had no impact on the game whatsoever until very late on. So it really was fantastic to watch. In the morning after, it's easy to dive into hyperbole and call it the best and blah, blah, blah. But I really thought, to a man, they were heroes last night. Really, really wonderful performances throughout the team. There was barely anyone who, I think in your Manny's, Derek, would get a 7. I mean, it was all 8s, 9s.
Yeah.
And that's totally understandable. I would like to single out 3 players. James Tavernier, Borna Barisic and John Lundstrom. I thought that trio were absolutely out of this world. And John Lundstrom, Ross Wilson's had a lot of digs over the last couple of weeks. I've probably had a wee pop at him myself. But John Lundstrom on a free transfer is looking like an outstanding piece of business now. It really is. He stepped up to the plate and was a man on that field last night in a major way. I think the way he drills the ball, and I've talked about this since the start of the season, the way he passes with pace really gets Rangers going. No one else has that drilled crossfield pass. One side to the other, real pace on it, gets Rangers moving quickly. And he was doing that all night last night. Incredible energy he showed right to the end. And I just thought he was an absolute standout, guys. I don't know what you both thought.
Yeah, listen, I think he's running extra time, Joshua, when he's striding forward towards the touchline was insane as Rangers looked to get that goal to kill off the tie. In the end, they sort of just settled it and just kept possession and saw out the game. Game management was superb in the last few minutes. But yeah, I agree with Johnny. He's been a revelation, hasn't he? We spoke about him. He looked like he could have been on his way out in January. He wasn't getting much game time. Yeah. There was talk about a loan spell back down south. He comes back in and he's been an absolute revelation, hasn't he?
Yeah, apart from that pass late in the game, which is a bit mental, but he's very, very calm on the ball, and don't think that's something that, you know, in scout reports last summer, many people would have been writing, because it maybe wasn't as much part of his game at Sheffield United. But I think you see, I completely agree with Johnny. I think you see why you need players like Lundstrom compared to Davies. For all Davies' qualities, at 37, he hasn't got that athleticism, the individualism, the ability to win individual battles, the ability to be an extra defender that Lundstrom has in Europe. And I think that's why Lundstrom's proved so crucial in Europe. And he was absolutely fantastic last night. Barisic, for me, was, I put this in my piece this morning, just so representative of this team, because at moments he can just have unexplained drops in confidence and form that seem so unbefitting of his quality and the performance ceiling he can reach. But then he has that ability to go and put in a performance like that last night, as the team do. And you're completely right, Derek. Irrespective of domestic form, if you can't enjoy Rangers getting to the Europa League semi-final, then you've got to take football, I think, as enjoyment in moments like that, because it's rare and absolutely fantastic. And I agree with Johnny. I think a lot of them were absolute heroes. And obviously Tavernier, 6 goals now in the Europa League. It's not even a surprise by this point. Sorry?
He's a top scorer.
Yeah.
Which is
in the competition.
Yeah, it's mental. So it's, fantastic performances all around, and I really think the same themes as of previous rounds, where you have a fantastic individual performance, but it's helped and it's made that a little bit better by the team doing something different, the team adapting to the opposition in the second leg, and that just makes Rangers all the more threatening, and certainly led to that first half last night.
Johnny, Tavernier, I mean, that's an interesting one, because prior to January, there was talk that Nathan Patterson should maybe get in ahead of him. There was some murmurings about that. But again, stepping up, big occasion, he absolutely revels in it, doesn't he? I mean, the goal itself, the finish is unbelievable. I loved his interview after the game where he said he was watching the Leicester PSV game and he's seen a boy for PSV not knock it back across the face of goal, whereas he felt he had a chance of scoring. Such belief and confidence. And then the penalty, such a wait before he hit that penalty. And you can imagine the expectation on his shoulders, the pressure, and to just calmly slot it down the middle as well, not blast it or anything like that. Just wait for the goalkeeper just to move that slight millisecond before slotting it home. Terrific. And what a captain's performance that was from him last night.
Yeah, I mean, James Tavernier is a Rangers legend. There's no doubt about it. I know he's only won 1 trophy. I know that's not good enough. But everything has to be contextualised by the period in which you were at the club. And his performances from right back have been nothing short of insane over the years.
Yeah.
From the very first season when he arrived under Mark Warburton and he was scoring goal after goal in the Championship, he hasn't really relented from that level of quality. It's been absolutely outstanding. And there's an argument to say that he's currently in the midst of the greatest individual European season for a player ever for Rangers. This is absolutely outrageous. Right back is the top scorer in the Europa League, the joint top scorer, it must be said. But the other guys that are there, their teams are out. So you're probably looking at 1 goal and James Tavernier cements his place.
Yeah.
I mean, for a right back, it's just absolutely crazy. And he's been a real inspiration. A lot of people question him at times because he's not that Richard Gough bombastic, sort of cajoling captain of old. But men aren't like that nowadays. That wouldn't work with these players. Richard Gough going in that dressing room would scare the life out of them all. Tavernier, he delivers by example. That's how he leads. And I think he's been a terrific captain for Rangers and a terrific leader. He always stands tall. He always keeps coming. Doesn't matter how bad he's playing, he'll do the same things over and over again with that level of consistency. And he gets there eventually. He always gets there eventually. And I thought it was a wonderful performance by him, but by both fullbacks last night. They both deserve a lot of credit because they were absolutely key. And you just wonder if maybe the penny started to drop a little bit for Giovanni van Bronckhorst on the fullbacks. Josh, maybe be a good person to speak about if there's been any change in the last couple of games in terms of the way the fullbacks are attacking. But you just all of a sudden see a lot more threat and dangers from Rangers because of the quality of ball that's going into the box from those two. And the quality is a lot better than even Ryan Kent. His quality isn't as good as Tavernier or Barisic. Absolutely no chance.
Yeah. Some comments coming in about that Tavernier Rangers legend. It's certainly a debate, but I sort of agree with Johnny. You need to take it into context. His numbers, you'll never see, I don't think you'll ever see a Rangers right back posting the numbers that he does on a consistent basis. We're not just talking about a one-off season, and to do it on the biggest stage of all, the Europa League as well, for Rangers is quite astonishing to be honest. Other than that, Joshua, some other players, we touched on Barisic. For me, Joe Aribo was back to the player that we all know he is. Terrific last night, taking the ball in tight spaces, setting up attacks, winning fouls, set up, of course, the 2 goals as well. And that near post run for the corners that you love, with the header, the flick on towards the back post, didn't quite come off. Roof, of course, struck the bar early on, and then he had another one, and there was no takers at the back post. But if Rangers can get Joe Aribo in that sort of form for the remainder of the season, then they'll be doing well.
Yeah, just on the fullbacks point as well, I think it's also by pushing them high. I don't know if it's whether, I mean, it's what these 2 games have shown is that Rangers need to attack with fullbacks in some capacity. Sometimes you can bring them inside, I think, as they've done earlier with Borna Barisic. But you need them in the attacking unit because their creative numbers are so good, even if you have Barisic inside the pitch playing passes. But also it allows players to play closer to Kemar Roof, which was so important last night. I mean, Roof was fantastic along with the Aribo. Yeah. Even when I think he lost physical battles, he put his opponents off. He ran himself into the ground. And by pushing the fullbacks high and allowing them, certainly on the right to make it, and then Barisic joining in as he did for the first goal, you allow Ramsey to go central from the right, which is obviously what leads to the second goal. His run is almost a decoy run in the end for Kemar Roof to go and score. So very important. I agree with Johnny on that. And Aribo, well, you could have had 2 from the corner because there was one about 5 minutes after that Roof just narrowly missed. But I thought he was fantastic. And I think the big thing is throughout his Rangers career, he's been criticised for lack of end product in big games. Obviously scored that fantastic goal at the weekend, but I think the noise surrounding that was very much, it's easy to do that when you're 3-0 up in St Mirren, which I think is, justified, really. But the little, if you watch that goal back, you'll see firstly Aribo makes a little bit of movement just to escape his marker, and then Roof as well was at the penalty spot. Fantastic movement to get into the box and score the all important goal. So many good performances. Also thought Aaron Ramsey did pretty well throughout his time on the pitch as well. Played a couple of lovely passes and took the ball in well to feet. And Ryan Jack had a few misplaced passes in the first half, but I thought he played a very important kind of functional role for the team to enable Tavernier to go so high, and Rangers play the way they did.
Yeah. Now, Johnny, I mean, prestige-wise, getting into the semi-finals of the Europa League is a phenomenal achievement on the pitch. Just seeing the Rangers badge amongst the teams that are in there. Of course, we'll be playing RB Leipzig in the last 4. West Ham taking on Frankfurt. Frankfurt defeating Barcelona in the previous round. West Ham with a great result away to Lyon. In terms of finances, though, this is huge for Rangers. Last night was huge, and there's potential to earn even more money.
Yes, well, I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning writing things last night. And one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to get a sense of just how much prize money is on offer, Derek. And I'm going to just detail this and I'm going to watch your jaws drop. Now, last night, Rangers won 2.8 million euros. Now, this is just prize money, guys. I'm not talking about filling Ibrox at 50 quid a ticket or whatever for the semi-final. All the sponsorship stuff as well. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking prize money, right? 2.8 million for getting through to the semi-finals. What happens if they go to the final? They get 4.6 million just for getting there. Again, forget about everything else. 4.6 million for just getting there. If they win, now this is where we're talking about the big bucks. And this is astonishing, right? If they win, it's an automatic 8.6 million for winning. On top of that, for qualifying automatically for the Champions League, which happens if you win the Europa League, you get another 15.64 million. On top of that, you get another 3.5 million for Super League participation.
Oh.
So just by winning the final, it's 27.74 million without doing a thing. Now, as I say, if you win a game in the Champions League, it's 2.8 million. If you draw a game, it's 930,000. If you reach the last 16, it's 10 million. You've got prize money galore in terms of, so not prize money galore, sorry. It's money galore in terms of packing out the stadium, in terms of sponsorship, all the rest. And on top of that, if you win the Super Cup, which would be, let's face it, I'm getting ahead of myself now. If you win the Super Cup, it's another £1 million. But it goes to show you, Rangers are 3 games away from unlocking generational money. I mean, people are talking about all season, win the league, and you can unlock this Champions League bonanza. You could have a situation where Celtic win the league, Russian teams are back in the Champions League, Villarreal win the European Cup, Celtic have to go into a qualifier, Rangers win the Europa League and go straight into the Champions League.
Yeah, well, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, Johnny, but it is, I mean, the financial...
It's highly unlikely.
Yeah, but here, the
financial... It's a crazy situation you wouldn't have envisaged at the start of the season.
You certainly would not have, and certainly Rangers will go into that semi-final, Joshua, full of belief. Now, listen, Leipzig are a top side. They put out Atalanta in the previous round. They'll fancy their chances. Rangers will fancy their chances. Again, I think the fact that the second leg is at Ibrox slightly benefits Rangers, although they have proved away from home that they can mix with the best. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I think the second leg at Ibrox is a big part in it. I think it'll be really difficult. I think maybe slightly more difficult than Dortmund. Not just because Leipzig beat Dortmund recently, but I think because of the because I think it would maybe be easier to play against Dortmund's weaknesses than Leipzig. I think Leipzig, haven't just watched them last night and a couple of times, and having read a little bit about their manager.
It's I think you need to answer that first, Joshua, before we continue.
It's a smoothie. It's not a. It looks a bit like a venom, but it's not a venom. That would be a bit early. But yeah, anything can happen. I mean, that would be ambitious, I think, with a whole day of work ahead.
They're judging it by what you're saying, Josh. They think you're on the venom.
Yeah. Well, as you both said, late nights, so I'll blame it on that. But I mean, can they beat Leipzig? Of course they can. I think that's what Rangers have demonstrated in this competition. I think it'll be very, very difficult, especially away from home. I think they're a very good side. So look forward to watching them ahead of the game, and look forward to another semi-final, another European night at Ibrox in and of itself. I think will be really special, and you definitely bank on that group of players bringing the game back with something to play for, which I think is all you can really ask in a semi-final.
Yeah. A Rangers-West Ham final. You heard it here first. Johnny, the Rangers now going to Sunday full of belief and confidence, of course. That got that shot in the arm. However, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst did say it's pretty much like the walking wounded in there at the moment, and rightly so. They left everything on the pitch. It's all about fielding players that are fresh enough to take to the field on Sunday, which is another huge game.
Yeah. It's huge. Let's try and enjoy this for a second and discuss the Old Firm game tomorrow. Jeez, oh man. Listen, I understand why you're bringing it up. I think you're right about the exertions of the players, but I don't know how many substitutions off the top of my head he used, but it was several, wasn't it? It was five.
Yeah.
So you know, the players did get rotated somewhat, and Borna Barisic, for example, I think there was discussion about whether or not that was an injury, but it wasn't an injury. It was just a situation that Borna was cramping up, which is understandable given the lack of game time he's had and the performance that he gave. So I think it's okay, really. That's what you want at the end of the day.
Adrenaline will kick in.
Yeah, the thing is, you know, this game takes care of itself. There's no excuses about tiredness. That's nonsense. These players will be desperate to get out there against Celtic. They'll be recovering today. They won't be doing much training today or tomorrow. I can guarantee you that. It'll be very, very light at most, and it'll all be about just getting, you know, the body recovered through the usual sports science stuff with ice baths and all the rest of it that they do nowadays.
Yeah.
But Celtic will take care of itself at Hampden. If they play like they played last night, they'll win.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a very difficult game. Make no bones about it. Celtic are a very good side.
Yeah.
How good Celtic are is reflected in how good Rangers have done in the Europa League.
Yeah.
You know, they're a semi-final team in the Europa League, and Celtic have won 2 out of the 3 games. But Rangers can turn that round. They can, and do you know what? I see at the moment, after a performance like that, they've got so much momentum going into this game, and you've just got to hope that they can find the tactical solutions to the awkward and slightly strange questions an Ange Postecoglou team poses tactically.
Yeah,
and if they can do that, then they'll be halfway there.
Yeah, listen, that'll do us there. Thanks to everyone interacting with the show this morning. It's very much appreciated. Fantastic to have your comments come in. Apologies if we couldn't get to the comments that you posted. Remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, so many of you are, just hit that subscribe button. It means you never miss a video when we go live. And if you want to take advantage of the Rangers Review website, just £1 for 2 months worth of content. And you also get entered into a prize draw for a tour of Ibrox for 4 by a club legend, no less. It's a super deal. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. Okay, we'll be back over the weekend with the build-up to the Old Firm Scottish Cup semi-final. But until then, enjoy the rest of your